Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? We got our man Jay Tust with us as well. Bronco Nation News Live here, a Friday edition as we wrap up another busy week in Boise State athletics. And Jay, you used to do this when we had the show down there at ESPN Boise, but you like to time it just as close as you could, and you were cutting it pretty close there, man. But you made it.
Hey, I also made breakfast, so
there you go. Yeah, I made breakfast today.
Now I'm really free of mind for the next 30 minutes.
I made breakfast. I hit 3 minutes on the microwave and put the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit in there, and the boys had their breakfast, and they're eating it on a paper plate as we speak. So I went all out.
A little more demanding this morning. We needed pancakes.
Okay. Yeah. No, we went all out. We went all out this morning. We went for the Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwich. So
I'm good with that.
It's Friday. It is Bronco Nation News Live presented by RowPaint.com, our title sponsor. Check them out, RowPaint.com, and they can help you with that one-day install, the concrete coatings. It's 5 times stronger than epoxy. They've done it to our back patio, our garage here at the Rains family, and we couldn't be happier with them. So check them out, ROEPaint.com. We appreciate our title sponsor and their support of Bronco Nation News. Jay Tust with us on Tuesdays and Fridays. There is currently a Board of Regents meeting going on right now at Jay Tust's alma mater, Washington State. I haven't really seen anything kind of sneak out from that yet. They're in the executive session right now, so a lot of private stuff going on. But what do you gather this meeting is about, Jay?
I think I heard somewhere along the lines that this actually might have something to do with Nick Rolovich and his contract and his buyout and things like that.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if something realignment wise pops up, but that's at least what I kind of heard potentially.
We don't want that. We want to know. We want them voting. If they're coming from Mountain West or something. Come on.
Exactly. Our sources there are a little bit different than our sources maybe over at Boise State, so it's a little hard to tell. But either way, something's going to happen here in the near future. I mean, we talked about this the other day, BJ. It's a matter of time before the next domino falls. I think that when you're Oregon State and when you're Washington State, they aren't necessarily in a big hurry to make a decision, but if you're the Mountain West, if you're the AAC, should any of the other conferences really want to reopen it up and try to add anybody, then there's a sense of urgency on their part. But I mean, Washington State and Oregon State are really in just kind of wait mode and see the table scraps that are left, what looks the most attractive, and you just try to go with those.
I thought that the meeting was deliberating to vote Jay Tust into the Wazoo Hall of Fame, but
I mean, it should be. Come on now, what the heck? I really am worried for them. We joke around it all, but I really am worried for their athletic department budget because this is not going to be easy one way or the other.
We're going to talk about their budget in a second when we hear from Craig Thompson. I want to play a bite for him. Nate says hello, happy Friday, y'all. Rudy, I got some good news for you, Rudy. He says, "Good morning, Bronco Nation." In my right hand, right here, Jay Tust, I hold a left-handed wedge. That is Rudy's wedge that I finally was able to, after being out of town for like a month And then Kelly Christensen from Timberstone being out of town. I have finally connected with our friend Kelly Christensen out at Timberstone Golf Course. Go check them out, playtimberstone.com, book a tee time, great course. But we made the swap, Rudy, and I now have your left-handed wedge. So let's see how we can get in touch with you and give you your prize from the golf tournament. I believe this was for closest to the pin or longest drive, this was for the Tyson Degenhardt Celebrity Shot Hole where he won the raffle. So we have your wedge, and we will try to get it to you, Rudy. Reach out to me. So it's definitely a good Friday for Rudy that he's now is going to get his left-handed wedge. Those weird left-handed golfers, man. My wife's one as well. They just cause a lot of problems. You're muted, Jay. You're muted.
By the way, Rudy's birthday yesterday.
Well, there you go. A late birthday present for Rudy. Yeah. We have his left-handed wedge there, so we're happy about that.
Around on the old X, Twitter X.
Yes.
Rudy's either the nicest guy you've met or the nicest guy you've never met. So happy birthday there, Rudy.
So yesterday there was no practice, so it was one of those days where I just got a lot of errands done. So I also have the gift cards here. Our champions, our first, second, and third place winners. I'm terribly sorry to say they haven't received their gift cards yet for winning the tournament. But Matt Bauscher and company, we know he needs the gift card here. We'll be in touch today. I'm going actually today as well to pick up the Taco Bell gift cards for all of our new subscribers. So getting a lot of the administrative stuff done the last couple of days here. No open practice today. They do have interviews after practice. We'll talk to Eric McAllister and Alexander Tubner after practice around 11:30. We'll get those posted, but no open practice the last couple of days. So if you are wondering if you got first, second, or third place, why you haven't received your gift card yet, I now have them, and I'll be reaching out to your team leaders to give those to you here shortly. I apologize for the delay. We're going to have all the gift cards from Taco Bell given out. I've been giving all their addresses and emailing with them. So all the we're going to make everybody whole here moving forward. And I apologize for the delay on some of the gift cards and things like that. But Randy Stevens says, good morning, Bronco Nation. Let's go Pac West. You mentioned the money, Jay. Let's go ahead and play this. Yesterday, Jay Tust. Yesterday, I was able to chat with Mike Prater with Craig Thompson. We got an almost 20-minute interview with Craig Thompson that we played on both KTIK and Bronco Nation News yesterday. And one of the questions Mike Prater asked was the gap, $30 million or whatever they've been making in the Pac-12. How do they make it work if they're only getting $8 million in the Mountain West or $6 million in the Mountain West? And what does the Mountain West do to try to close that gap a little bit to make it a little more appealing? Now, I would first say they may not have a choice. Like, if you have nowhere else to go, you take the $8 million or whatever you can get in the Mountain West and you just go for it. It's not like the Mountain West is trying to pry them, out of the Pac-12 or something where they have to offer them some sweet deal. I'll say that in advance. But what do you make of the $30 million drop to the $8 million drop before we hear from Craig Thompson and what that would mean and how how the Mountain West could help that at all, or how Washington State could make that work?
I know some of these numbers can kind of differ, but is it even $8 million in the Mountain West, BJ?
It's like around a little over 6, and then Boise State's around 8. Yeah.
Right. So unless they get a special deal, which I've kind of wondered, and I think I saw on Twitter that you might have gotten that answer too.
That's the one we're going to play.
Okay. Well, I just, that's a massive drop, man. I mean, I don't know if it was quite 30 mil, but somebody even in the Pac-12, but I think somebody came out and said that ESPN offered them $30 million annually per team last fall. And the Pac-12 president said, no, we want $50 million. And the ESPN said, okay, goodbye. And then they turned their attention to the Big 12, and the Big 12 settled on for just like a little north of 30 million. I think it was 31 and change. So, man, what a missed opportunity. What a massive mistake by the Pac-12. I think at that point in time too, the Pac-12 said, or the ESPN said they wanted it all. Like, so that would have been like an exclusive rights package with the Pac-12. But I worry about it, man. If you looked at it, Jake Dicker would likely be the highest paid coach in the Mountain West by a wide margin if Washington State were to join the league. If Jonathan Smith joins the league too, then he would be the highest paid coach. But that, he's making almost twice what Andy Avalos makes. Actually, it is twice what Andy Avalos makes. And so those are going to be things that are really hard to sustain with that type of budget cut. It's just, Washington State's president came out and said they're still going to invest like a Power 5 program. Who else says that, BJ? I'm trying can't remember who says that.
Well, that'd be a school that we cover fairly often. But he also came out and said they're not going to an East Coast league unless they get a crap ton of money, and it just doesn't make much sense for them, and that's probably not happening. So all this talk about the AAC and the ACC, none of that's happening. They're probably trying to get a little better deal from the Mountain West.
BJ, we talked about this on Tuesday, and it's it just wouldn't make. Excuse me. It wouldn't make financial sense.
Bless you again.
My goodness. For Washington State to make that move, unless it's for, again, a significant amount of money, because again, even the AAC TV deal is worth more than the Mountain West TV deal. If you're Boise State, it's pretty darn close to even, though, since you get a bigger cut of the pie. So if you're Washington State, man, if it's a $2 million difference, that just doesn't add up. And even here's the deal, BJ, even if you push even on travel costs or slightly get out ahead, it is one thing if you're USC or Washington State, or thank you, Dennis. If you're one of those schools where all of a sudden you're making double what you would have made in the Pac-12. That's why you're going to put this stress on your student athletes with all these, all this additional travel. You're not doing that for $1 million extra dollars. You can't ask your student athletes to do that. I mean, it almost seems ridiculous, even for the schools that are making way more money out of this arrangement. It almost seems silly for them to even ask. So that's why it just seems like, at the end of the day, I think you're exactly right. This is just a waiting game. Washington State knows that there's only a couple options left on the table. They know that the Mountain West is going to ask them to the dance regardless, right? So maybe hold out and see if you can get a little bit better of a deal. Maybe a deal kind of like Boise State had arranged with the Mountain West.
Let's hear Craig Thompson and part of Mike Prater's question about this very topic yesterday evening. And the full interview is up on our YouTube channel, but here's Craig Thompson.
Bridge that $20 million gap so it's more enticing for Oregon State and Washington State to come into the Mountain West Conference without taking a massive financial hit.
Yeah, that's the age-old question I used the other day. In 1986, I was in the Metro Conference. Louisville won the national championship in basketball with Never Nervous Ellison. And they came to that meeting a month later and said, we need more money. We're bringing you all the money. We are the Mountain West, or excuse me, the Metro Conference. So that goes back 40 years. And you don't think Texas and Oklahoma have had that conversation? You don't think Georgia and Alabama are in meeting? Now, it might be a little different in the SEC. Tide raises all boats. But, the Ohio States and Michigans, yes, Gloria's right. You can bridge the gap somewhat, but that's unbelievably huge, vast difference. And you can't settle and you can get creative, but in order to accomplish that, the other 12 current Mountain West members are going to have to be willing to say, we'll allow them to be a little bit different, perhaps. And just think of the angst that's still there of when Boise State left the Mountain West to go to the Big East and came back and got a few extra $1 million in TV revenue. That still haunts people in the league. That's still hanging out there saying, well, why do they get it? Because people look at it as your athletic competition and accomplishments. They've done this or they've done that. Well, it really had nothing to do with it. It had to do with the fact that ESPN wanted Boise State, and Boise State was willing to come back, but they understood the value they would bring to the league. I'm not defending it either way. I didn't vote on it, but that's where it came out. But for years, that's still in the hallways saying, why does Boise State get that extra revenue? And I don't know how you do it with a Washington State or Oregon State. And your math is correct. A $20 million delta, even if the Mountain West were to distribute $10 million versus the $30 million that they get currently. But again, they're not going to have a choice. Their world has changed completely. And they I know they're cognizant and will accept the fact it's not going to be yesterday's Pac-12. Your thoughts there, Jay Tust?
I mean, he's obviously spot on. Former Commissioner Thompson knows what he's talking about. And, I think the thing that stands out there to me too is that, when we talk about these conferences trying to negotiate teams into their league, it wasn't the conference that wanted to give Boise State that additional money. It was the network that owned the Mountain West rights, which is really funny because they no longer own any Mountain West rights. So ESPN wanting Boise State in the Mountain West said, hey, give them extra money. The Mountain West was able to do that. And now ESPN isn't even associated with the Mountain West TV deal. On top of that, man, like, you know, probably not a popular take, but it is what it is. It's funny that Boise State is I mean, I don't know how many teams in the country get a deal like that from their conference. And Boise State gets a bigger piece of the pie than any other team in the league, right? And I think at least at the point in time that they agreed to that, the thought was not only do they want them in the conference, they want to keep them in the conference. And now, man, like it again, it might not, I'm just going to say it out loud. Nobody really wanted Boise State when it came to conference realignment, or at least they weren't at the top of anyone's list. And yet they still get, you know, additional money from the league. If anything, you look at it now, if you could update that, like if the Pac-12 was still together, maybe you're making that arrangement for San Diego State to stay in the league, you know? And so that's why I guess it could be, you know, a tough pill to swallow if you're the current members of the Mountain West, you know, for the current members of the Mountain West to pass something like that. Because you're right, man. Every year we talk about it at Mountain West Media Days. We just got to get an update. Is Boise State still going to get that advantage? And every year they're like, yep, you know, we signed it in when they came into the conference.
They tried the one time, and Boise State threatened to sue them, and they said, okay.
So, I mean, they said for as long as Boise State's in this league, they're going to get, you know, a bigger piece of the pie. And, I mean, my question is, if they go to the Pac-12 or if there's some type of merger, is there going to be wiggle room for the conference to get out of that arrangement? If you change the name to Pac West or Pac-12 or whatever it would happen if there's a merger, is there potential that they could get out from giving Boise State more money than anyone else in the conference?
Well, we do have a report from Brett McMurphy involving the Mountain West, Jay. Big news. Brett McMurphy reporting Andy Avalos' favorite music artist is Zach Brown Band, according to Brett McMurphy. He just came out with his Mountain West coach's favorite musical artists. And Zach Brown Band is Andy Avalos' favorite artist, apparently.
All right.
I saw him at the James before the Luke Combs concert. I think he did. I didn't realize it, but I think he is a big kind of country guy. And Zach Brown, it's kind of country. That is his apparently favorite musical artist. So, did I get you for a couple seconds when I said Brett McMurphy report? I saw the tweet.
Might get something. I didn't think it's going to be like somebody's coming into the Mountain West, but I thought it might be some type of.
It said Mountain West is the first thing I saw from Brett McMurphy, and I said, "Oh, here we go." And then I'm looking, and he's giving the musical artists of the group. So, Wyoming's Craig Bowl is the Eagles. By the way, you got Danny Gonzalez, Kenny Rogers, Brady Hoke is Aerosmith, Brent Brennan, Snoop Dogg.
Let's go, Brent.
Jeff Tedford is Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band.
Man, all these.
Kenny Chesney for Troy Calhoun. Jay Norvell is Mystical. AC/DC for Ken Wilson. You got a lot of older coaches.
I was going to say, man, like these are all like 80s musics.
Barry Odom is George Strait. So, yeah, you got all these older ones. And then you got Zach Brown Band and Kenny Chesney for Troy Calhoun and
funny.
Andy Avalos there. But, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I want to thank a couple of our sponsors. We'll continue this discussion here in a second. Taco Bell, check them out, TacoBellGivesBack.com. Find out all they're doing for the local community. They're donating more than $300,000 to student scholarships down at Boise State over the next 5 years. Check them out. Get more information, TacoBell.com. And they are renovating, remodeling the Broadway location, hoping it's ready by that game on the 9th of September against UCF. So Taco Bell's doing some big things in the area. We appreciate their support. I mentioned the Cutwater Spirits Studios. More than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. Pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. Our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. Leon Rice, Coach Rice had them out, did their garage. Check them out, ROEPaint.com. He spoke very highly of the process. He's actually going to be doing some commercials and things for him here in the fall, so stay tuned for that. But ROEPaint.com. 5 times stronger than epoxy, the one-day install. Check them out at rowpaint.com. I was down at Lithia Ford yesterday talking to Jim Sturk. They got that new F-150 Lightning, the all-electric truck, and we're going to be doing some cool stuff. I think we're going to get Jay Tust down there for a Friday broadcast. He lives pretty close to there. We're actually going to, Jay, broadcast a one of our shows and have it powered by the new F-150 Lightning electric truck. I was out there with Jim yesterday. He goes to show me the engine. He lifts up the front, and there's no engine. The front hood is actually like a trunk because it's a fully electric F-150. It was unbelievable. It was pretty cool. And they've got a lot of Boise State signage and things inside the showroom. So we're going to actually do a broadcast from a F-150 Lightning truck coming up moving forward to show you how awesome those things are. So stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for Tuesday night. Idaho Central Credit Union presents the Tyson Degenhart Show. Taylon Green is our guest on Tuesday night, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Tuesday night, 8 p.m., Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. And if you're looking for a job, check out Transportation Compliance Service, TCS, transcompservice.com. They can help you get into the trucking industry. Everything you need, transcompservice.com. And if you need Boise State gear, the blueandorange.store.com can take care of you. The blueandorange.store.com. Free shipping, any order over $40. And if you're in the Boise area, you can just check them out the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall. I mentioned, Jay, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. is the Tyson Degenhart Show. Well, Monday night at 8 p.m. is our new show, Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny. Coach Mike Sanford, John Mallory, weekly Boise State and college football talk. You're not going to want to miss this every Monday at 8 p.m. It starts this Monday. So Johnny and Coach Sanford have been doing a lot of group texting, a lot of ideas. They're not just going to wing this thing. They've got some subject, some segment ideas, and they've been putting a lot of work in this behind the scenes. So, Jay, Mike Sanford still on the payroll for Colorado for 2 more years and wants to maybe dabble with the media and is not coaching this year and wants to get some experience. And it worked out nicely to get Johnny and Mike Sanford together, and that should be fun on Monday nights.
Yeah, I really appreciate Mike. Forget Johnny, who celebrated. How old did Johnny turn yesterday? Are we allowed to say that?
It was at least 40, right?
Oh, at least 40.
43, 44.
I'm going to guess somewhere in that range. We won't go too much further.
He's older than you think, actually. You see him, you're like, you're not
older than you think.
We love you, Johnny. But yeah, I think he's can we say mid? Is it what point in the 40s are you mid 40s? Is that 43?
I'm going to give him 40. If you're mid 40s, I would say at least 44 to 47.
I want to say he's 43, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, 43. Yeah, so still young for early 40s. Love you, Johnny. Also, that's going to be great because Mike Sanford, man, I really appreciated him during his time at Boise State. He was always just kind of real with us. I like coaches. There's certain times I feel like when we ask questions, BJ, where a coach might think we're questioning what they're doing.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, we might actually just be trying to gain knowledge because we're asking somebody that knows football a question way better than we know it, right? And so Mike was always one of those guys where if we asked him a question, he wouldn't necessarily he wouldn't get necessarily offended. I think that he understood like we were legitimately asking him a question, and he would take the time to explain that. And so,
what is it, Johnny? 43 or 44?
PG show, so that Johnny is using his PG language. He looks, in that picture, he definitely looks under 40. So that picture was taken a little while ago, I'm going to say.
They had cameras back then when that.
Exactly.
But yeah, that should be fun. You're right. Mike Sanford was awesome. Does a great job explaining stuff. And I think it's going to be awesome. And that'll be Mondays at 8 p.m. Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny. I wanted to talk, touch on Jay. I know we touched on it the other day. I was talking about it with Jordan, but Ashton Jeanty, George Helani, the two of these guys potentially in the backfield together, potentially on the field together. You got a daddy duty, so why don't I play the video first? Is that you got to help out, or are you all right?
My daughter was just checking on me.
Oh, that's okay. Ashton Jeanty, George Helani. We talked to them the other day. What are your thoughts on Bush Hamden trying to tinker with getting them both out there together?
I love the idea of it, and I think that we've been kind of anticipating this for a little while now. It's a great idea, and we mentioned this when Latrell Caples was injured. He was their best guy after the catch in terms of, for a receiver. He led the team in yak yards last year. And if they can find a way, they have to find a way to replace that explosiveness in the passing game. And Ashton Jeanty, if he can complement that or help out in any way, is a great option because he is dynamic after the catch. And so I love that idea of them getting both George and Ashton on the field together at the same time and getting a little creative with that. They're too good to not figure out a way to do something like that, BJ.
And they're both apparently have become, very good friends, which is unique given the fact that Ashton's taken some of the playing time, some of the spotlight away from George, but he's apparently done just a phenomenal job of helping him, taking him under his wing. So we had a chance earlier this week to catch up with George and Ashton. Here's what they had to say about being out there on the field together and about their friendship.
I mean, when you have like two guys who can, make plays, it's really special for this offense, and it makes a lot of things easier for the quarterbacks and the receivers and stuff like that. So.
I mean, George is a great player, and so am I. So you just gotta try to find ways to both get us on the field. But I'm very excited about it. They're doing multiple different things and finding different ways to get both of us on the field at the same time.
I mean, we use many different formations where we're both in the backfield, and either of us can get it, either of us, one of us can get it, one can run the option, and then we also have Ashton, running outside, running routes out there, and running sweeps and stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy how we utilize this offense.
I mean, definitely, I think it's great that they're using all my skills and, helping me show how versatile a player I am.
I mean, I think it just helps us offense as a whole because it just helps us, stay in rhythm, and it just helps us, find those plays where he's able to be explosive. He can run a dude over. Next thing you know, I go in there and I can go in there and make a dude miss or juke him, or, So it's really, exciting.
I mean, I think to me it doesn't really matter, who's starting, who's coming off the bench. I think it's a matter of fact that we're both great players and we complement each other. And, we make each other better, and overall we make the offense better.
I think it's going to be really explosive, dynamic duo if we're able to just, find our roles and strive off of that.
Ever since I came here, he just embraced me and took me under his wing, showed me what it is to be a Bronco. So just him, doing that since I got here off the rip, I think that's why I've been able to get along so well.
I mean, I think it's because, we're really competitive, everything we do, we're competitive, we'll talk smack to each other, and it's funny sometimes. But we understand, when it's time to go, it's time to go, and we're gonna, help. We're not here to put anyone down. We're gonna, continue to build off each other and just be able just to, go out and just tear it out on the field.
Well, I think, it's a matter of fact, I think he knows he's a great player and he doesn't feel threatened. He just feels that, I could help make an impact on the team if, he helps me out and, gets me right when I got here.
If I have an explosive and I'm tired, I need one, Ashton's gonna, I can rely on him to go out there and make a play. So, and that's the same thing with him, with these guys. But if I get hooked on the one and I see Ashton run on the field, I'm like, nope, go back out. I'm gonna finish this one right here. But yeah, but it's gonna be exciting though.
No more of getting vultured at the 1 yard line by Andrew Van Buren this year, right? George is staying out there. He wants those touchdowns if he gets it down to the 1.
Hey, good for George. He deserves those carries, and he's always been really good in those situations. So
yeah,
good for George.
That would be pretty cool, though. And Ashton was a receiver in high school some. So, I mean, we'll see how they do that. But a pretty good problem for Bush Hamden to have here.
No, this could help the offense go to another level. These guys, too, BJ, I mean, they are ready. I think we can honestly say there's certain times where you might talk to a player or two and you find out about his off season and you can have hope and confidence that he's going to do it or, figure it out or whatever. But you look at George and you look at Ashton, you can tell these guys have been business throughout the entire off season. Their pound for pound strength is just absolutely insane, to the point where they're getting to weight totals that the coaches are almost kind of cutting them off because, let's not face it, they're not bodybuilders, right? They shine in that too. But I mean, Ashton squats nearly 600 pounds. He's 5'8". I mean, that's one of the biggest numbers on the entire team. I think Dimitri Washington right now is number one, who he squats 600 pounds. He jumped 100 pounds on a squat this offseason. And so their pound for pound strength is just insane. George Holani's hit like 385 on the bench before. Ashton isn't too far off that. I think he's like 335, 345, somewhere in that range. George squats 500 pounds, which again, you're talking about 2.5 times his body weight. It's with the pound for pound strength amongst those two. That's something that you just can't wing. You don't just show up in the weight room and be able to do that stuff. It's really impressive. And I can't wait to see these two guys as a duo, because BJ, I think the wrong conversation, it's the hot topic conversation, because it's more opinionated of who starts, who gets more carries, when's this guy getting a touch, when is he off the field. That's just a more opinionated, reactionary conversation. I think the real topic is, if these guys find a way to have a rhythm and complement themselves, that is going to be massive, massive production for this Boise State offense.
No doubt. And you were mentioning the squats for Ashton Genty. It's not exactly, it's probably, off 7,500 pounds, but I mean, it's essentially you, me, and Jordan Kay all getting on Ashton Genty's back and him doing squats. I mean, it is at a minimum you and me. I mean, it is crazy. Seriously, that's I
was trying to, it probably is something like that. BJ.
It is unbelievable. And you see him there, and he's not that tall, but you just look at how built he is, and it's just, he is a impressive looking young man. And then you see why it would be hard for teams to tackle somebody like that. And so, and George said it, he's more the bruiser and George is more the juke, make you miss kind of guy. But I mean, they've been together.
We say that too, and you're right, but I have never once seen George Holani shy away from contact. And I feel like that's the type of dude.
We've seen Ashton Genty juke and blow by guys too.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they both bring it. They both are very versatile. And man, George to me feels like he's like the type of guy you hit and he's got a heavy head. You're like, because you look at him and I mean, don't get me wrong, George isn't small, but he's also not the biggest guy in the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been eons since I've played football, but you kind of get in those hit lines and you kind of start to see who you're going to stack up against. And you're like, okay, I'm a little bit bigger than him. I should be able to hold my own. And then he hits you and you're like, holy crap. George is one of those guys, man. I have never seen that dude shy away from contact.
Well, I mean, then you throw in what Taylon Green can do running the football, and you throw in this offensive line, which a lot of people expect to be pretty good. I mean, this offense, I think, is going to score some points. It's going to come down to whether or not the defense can do enough. I think, which Washington game aside, I think a lot of people are excited about this team. I saw even CBS Sports Jerry Palm had his first bowl predictions for this year has Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl against USC. So there's at least one national guy that is expecting big things this year.
As long as we're talking about the offense, I think a big thing, like a lot of offenses want to rely on explosive plays. I think this offense has the chance to be explosive, but I think there's also going to have to be a patience to them, right? If you run the ball a lot, can you stay ahead of the chains and then eventually, get an opposing defense on their heels, and then the explosive plays come? I feel like this team's going to be able to run the ball. And I feel like if you're the offensive line, this is going to help your mentality, because you're going to be getting the chance to fire off the line and try to take people's will, man. And if they can be patient enough early in the games, if they can protect the ball and not turn it over and have these sustained drives, then eventually big plays are going to pop. And so if they can have a little bit of that patience early on, I think you're right, man. This could be an offense that is once again averaging 36, 37, 38 points per game.
Well, excited to see it. Excited for any news that comes today with the Mountain West. We'll see again Eric McAllister and Alexander Tubner. We'll talk to at 11:30. Have that up later. Go read Jordan's article, by the way, on Ahmed Hassanin. Awesome article. Talked to his brother and kind of got into the backstory there. There's been some articles out there, but Jordan took a different angle, and I think it was a great story. So go to BroncoNationNews.com. We've made that story free for everybody, so hopefully you'll check it out, and that'll maybe convince you to jump on board with a subscription. We're still offering those Taco Bell gift cards. I ran out, but I'm going to just beg for forgiveness and ask for more. If you want in, $70 subscription, 1 year, one-time fee, $70, and we'll give you a $20 gift card to Taco Bell, or we'll throw in a round of golf at Timberstone if you'd prefer that. Maybe even a chance to get in a foursome with Jay Tust at some point. We'll get a raffle or something going for that. We'll see. Because Jay just has so much free time to do nothing but play golf this time of year. But check it out, BroncoNationNews.com. We'd love for you to subscribe. If the yearly option is too much, the monthly option is $6.99. We'd love to have you there as well. If anything breaks this weekend, we'll have you covered. Indy Avalos talking tomorrow after the closed scrimmage. We'll get that press conference video up as well, and I'm sure KTVB.com, they'll have you covered all the various newscasts this weekend with Jay and Brady. KTVB will have all your coverage of the scrimmage tomorrow as well. Johnny and I
for one more week in their J-list.
There you go. Jay is just finishing up the lead here with Sam. There you go. Back on Wednesday. Perfect timing here as we ramp things up with football. So excited for that. But Jay, appreciate you as always. Appreciate all the comments. Sorry we didn't get to all your comments today. A lot of comments. We didn't get a chance, but we're 60. What's my math? 65 subscribers away from 3,000 on YouTube. So get down there. We're at 2935 last I looked. Hit that subscribe button in the bottom corner on YouTube. Help us get to 3,000, which would bring us within like 35,000 of KTVB or something. We're coming for you. But we appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. If anything breaks, as I said, we'll pop on. If not, Johnny and I will be with you Monday morning, 9 a.m. With all the happenings from the weekend as we inch closer. That Washington game is going to be here before we know it. We're excited for it. And thanks a lot to everybody. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.